Welcome to Nature Days. I'm Brianne, and today we're going to talk about plants. What makes a plant, and why are they so important to us? We're going to talk about that and more in today's video. So, what is a plant? A plant is an organism with multiple cells that contain something called cellulose, which can be found in a plant's cell walls. Most plants use a process called photosynthesis to make energy using sunlight. Photosynthesis takes place in chloroplasts in the cell, which are green. This is why most plants are at least partially green. In addition to sunlight, plants need water and various nutrients, which they usually get from the soil. As you might have guessed, there are exceptions. Some plants are parasitic, which means they get their energy by draining resources from other organisms. Some of these that you might see include the ghost pipe and dodder. You can see that they don't have any green coloring since they don't need to photosynthesize. There are other plants that are considered carnivorous. These plants still use photosynthesis for energy, but they get some of the nutrients they need from insects and other small animals rather than through the soil like most plants. A lot of these live in swampy areas and bogs where the soil is lacking in the nutrients plants need. One of the most famous of these is the Venus flytrap. It has little hair-like growths on both sides of the trap, and if an insect bumps them a couple times, the trap will close on it. Other carnivorous plants, like the sundew, have sticky tips that insects get stuck to. Some, like pitcher plants, form a type of cup of digestive juices. They often have slippery edges that cause the insects to fall into the cup. But plants can be very specialized. There's even one type of pitcher plant that secretes a nectar that attracts tree shrews, a type of rodent. The shrews sit on the edge of the plant, which is shaped well for them to do so, and when they poop, it goes down into the cup of the pitcher, and the plant dissolves the poop for nutrients. Yes, it's basically like a little rodent toilet. There are some really fascinating plants out there. But most plants don't work like those ones. Most of the plants you're going to see in your yard or the park or along the road get their energy from sunlight and their nutrients from the soil. Even these have tons of variation. You have everything from tiny little moss to great big trees and everything in between. The next time you're outside, or even if you're just looking out a window, try to count how many different types of plants you can see. I bet there'll be more than you'd have guessed. Don't forget, you can borrow guidebooks from the library on flowers, trees, and other types of plants if you'd like to learn more about them. So why do we care about plants? There are so many reasons. Can you think of any? If you remember what we talked about in some of our previous videos, plants are an important part of their ecosystem. They're something that other living creatures rely on for food and often shelter. Many animals eat plants, and those that eat other animals are often eating animals that eat plants. The plants are the base for that whole system. And many plants shelter animals, but trees are an especially important shelter. Can you think of any animals that make their homes in trees? Many birds, of course, but also squirrels, raccoons, opossums, and tons of insects and spiders. So plants are definitely important to an ecosystem, but they're also important to you in many more ways. A really big one is food. Just like a lot of animals need plants to eat, so do we. All of the fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts you eat are plants. There are tens of thousands of edible plants out there, although people tend to stick to about 200 types. About 90% of the food we eat comes from just about 15 to 20 of those. And even if you eat a lot of meat, those animals ate plants, so you're still relying on plants for your food. So food is a big one, but there are more. When you breathe in, you need oxygen, and then you breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants use carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, and then they give off oxygen. So they're giving you good air to breathe. They can also help to clear out toxins in the air, making it even cleaner. This is one reason why keeping houseplants can be a great idea, although it happens on a larger scale outside too. Plants have also given us a lot of medicines. While the medicines you use were probably made in a lab, many of those are based on substances that came from plants. There are also places around the world that still use a lot of plant-based medicine. Plants give us shelter and clothing. Some houses are made of wood, and a lot more around here might have wooden flooring or furniture. Some of your clothes may be made of cotton. Plants, and especially trees, are also important for our climate. Too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere contributes to climate change, and trees take in that carbon dioxide and use it to make new growth. They basically store the carbon dioxide. There have also been studies showing that being around plants and out in the woods is good for our health, both physical and mental. Going for a walk in the park can be a great way to relieve stress and improve your mood. So, we know that plants are important. What can we do for them? Well, an obvious answer is to plant more of them. To best support our local environment, native plants and trees are always a great option. But there are also citizen science projects you can participate in. One of these is Budburst. Budburst is a project of the Chicago Botanic Garden, and it's designed to help scientists track when plants are in various stages of their life cycles. If you remember what we mentioned in our pollinator video, because of climate change, some plants are blooming earlier than they used to, and it's important for both the plants and the pollinators that the plants are blooming when the pollinators are present. Budburst is designed to track the plant side of that. You can make one-time observations or observations throughout the life cycle of a plant from any of the 5 different categories Budburst tracks. Any data is useful. The Budburst website has so much more information too. They have a whole page dedicated to families participating in the project. It has a number of different plant-related activities for families with suggested grade level ranges for each. This can be a great way to supplement your at-home learning. There are also guides for teachers interested in using Budburst in more formal educational settings. But whether you're an individual interested in plants or a family looking for more activities to do together outside, Budburst is definitely worth checking out. It's so easy to go through your day not really noticing the plants around you, but now that you know a little more about them and about how important they are, I hope you take some time to appreciate the plants you see today. Maybe go for a walk in one of our parks or visit a garden and look at all the different plants there. There's so much to find if you take the time to really look. Happy Nature Days!